have won a political position in the state legislature from prison.
Baby, you're breaking every rule I have.
At the last retreat that we had with Dr. King, he enlightened us, and he kind of made me angry, because at that time I'd been in jail 85 times, and I could name you some 15 or 20 of my friends had been murdered in these various demonstrations. And Dr. King kept saying to us, we have gone around the mountain long enough. Now it's time to come in and enhance the land. And I found, I don't understand what you mean, Dr. King. I don't follow you. I get the impression you're saying, out of all the beatings and the jailings and the blood spilling, all of the civil rights activities, we have only been on the perimeter of this civil rights movement. And he said, Jose, you held it long, and I thought you could, but that's exactly what I mean. And he went on to say that black people in America will never, never be free. Never. Just by wiping out racism. If black people wiped out every vestige of racism in America and totally integrated every aspect of American life, they would not be free. If black people will never be free, and he said it with such an emphasis, until we control our fair share of the economy, that our society was economically driven. The politicians make the laws, and they implement, or they supervise the implementation of the laws. But these politicians do what those boys with that money said do. And that's when he said that we must shift from the civil rights demands into the economic demands. He also said in that meet that if I do not change, they're going to get me. But I cannot change because I know I'm pursuing God's will. And he said that when they get me, they're going to be very surprised, because get me will not stop nothing. He said, I want you all's commitment, because the power to free black people is not in Martin Luther King Jr. It's in this team that we put together. And I want you all to promise me that if they get me, or when they get me, you'll never let them break up this team. And I guess like Jesus was talking, he told us what they would do to try to break up the team after they murdered him, after he was gone. He said they're going to try to give some of you all the most prestigious and highest paying jobs in politics. Don't take it. We're going to try to give some of you all the most prestigious and highest paying jobs in private industry. Don't take it. They're going to try to get some of you all to start your own national organization, become competitive with SCLC. Don't take it. And we promised them that. Of course, we didn't keep the promise, because that's what failed SCLC. The person that was in King's Inner Circle deserted the organization after his death. And that's what made, I don't know, to be honest about it, black people today are worse off in America than we were 35 years ago. Because not only have we not gained our fair share of America's economy, we have lost control of the economics of our communities. And that's across this country, not just in Auburn Avenue. It's true in Harlem. It's true in Boston, Washington. And it's been amazing to me that the white power structure obviously came to their senses and said, stop repressing them, stop rejecting them, open the door and let them come on in. And black people unwisely throughout this nation went out through white America and spent all of our money. White America did not reciprocate, did not spend hardly any money in the black community. And the black community across America went broke. That's what happened to Auburn Avenue. And it's really pitiful that the blacks that we got in office, in many cases, they became the house niggers are a product of the white power structure, which resulted in them becoming a bigger enemy to the people, just as big an enemy, in some instances more enemy to the people, than their white predecessors. And that's why today it really hurts me. The number of people died, black and white, getting us the right to register and vote. And the vote turned out to be such a negative to us. Evidence of that after we got the voters' bill and had scope and did all the registered people to vote. They elected a black mayor in New York, a black mayor in Chicago, a black mayor in Boston, many cities. And today, they all again have white mayors because those blacks got in office and sold the black people out and became, well, if you check, like in Atlanta, where they elected all these black officials, it only resulted in economic growth for a black clique, the black upper class, the black few. The masses became more poverty-stricken than they were under the white politicians. So it's been a hell of a tragedy when so many people bled and died to give us the right to vote. And the vast majority of the blacks that we voted in office became a puppet for the white power structure.
Baby, you're breaking every rule I have.
I really believe when Maynard Jackson first took office, I really believe he had good intentions. But after he got in office and served 4 years, he and his associates became money thirsty. And the elected officials of Atlanta began to feed the black community economic crumbs. That major money went to those white establishments. And I'm convinced that they promised Mayor Jackson and his associates a viable economic future, but the masses of the blacks was left out, and the whites still controlled, I would say, 85% of the money that's made in this city. And it had been kept in line. It didn't change when Andy Young became mayor, and it didn't change when Bill Cameron became mayor. And it has been hurting because you realize you never had a mayor in Atlanta that was raised in Atlanta. Every single one of them was migrants. And they didn't know how Atlanta truly became Atlanta. I don't guess they're interested. But the black community in Atlanta, Georgia, which for ages was one of the richest black communities in America, today is one of the poorest communities. And it was done under black dominated control administrations. If you go down there now, it's just hard for a black company to get a contract from the city. A few black companies, they pick just a few, and